Hi, everyone. My name is Camelia. I'm with the School of Engineering at USC, and thank you for joining us today to learn more about the Engineering Management Program here at USC. I'm going to turn it over to our professor and chair of the Daniel J. Epstein Department of Industrial and Systems Engineering, Professor Majid Dasuki. And he does have a hard stop at 5:30, which is 30 minutes past the hour. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to him so he can give you a little bit of an overview of our Master of Science program in Engineering Management. And then you can feel free to ask him any questions that you may have in the Q&A. And then after his talk, I'll go ahead and speak with you about just application criteria and deadlines and scholarships and things like that. Okay, if that all sounds fine, I'll turn it over to you now, Professor Dasuki.
Well, thank you, Cami, and welcome everyone who's on the Zoom link. So are these the slides, or should I have my own slides, or so?
Professor, you're muted, sorry.
Oh, am I muted? I don't, because my mute button isn't on. How about now? Do you hear me? Because I don't see my mute button. Let me see if my speaker. Let's try that. Now. Do you hear me now or no? You're muted, so I can't hear you. You're muted.
Thanks to our panelists that confirm they can hear. I can hear you now. Maybe it's my connection. I'm so sorry.
Okay, no worries. So my question is, are these the slides, or do I have some slides? Which one would you prefer?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and stop sharing mine if you would like to go ahead and share.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I'm here today to talk about the Masters in Engineering Management, but before I do that, I kind of give you kind of a slight overview of the department and see where it fits in terms of the kind of overall, overall, I would say, areas, because we have multiple areas in our department and several different emphases, and engineering management is just one of the many that's offered in our department. So one of the things that we're really proud of in our department, we were the first named. So we're the Daniel J. Epstein Department of Industrial and Systems Engineering. We were the first actually named department at USC. And actually more than that, we were the first named Department of Industrial and Systems Engineering in the country. So we're first in many aspects. Just to give you an idea of the size of the department, we have 19 tenured or tenure track faculty members who have primary appointments in the department. The tenure track and tenured faculty do both research and teaching. So you'll see them in the classroom. On top of that, since we have a lot of, specifically the engineering management program, it's a very applied practical degree. So we rely a lot on industry faculty, and some of these industry faculty are full-time teachers. And we have not all the 8 teaching faculty members are dedicated to the engineering management program, but a good number of them are. We also have some faculty who just do research and occasionally teach. And we have some faculty who have joint appointments in other schools, like the School of Policy, the Business School, who also teach for us. So we have a wide spectrum of faculty across many different fields who range from both quantitative areas and qualitative areas. In terms of student size, we have an undergraduate program, which has 200 students. The largest by far is our master's program. We have over 850 master's students. Basically, we have 5 or 6 master's degrees, but the 3 most prominent ones are the engineering management degree and the analytics degree and the ISE degree. The engineering management degree really focuses on training people for management positions in the engineering role. The analytics degree is much more for those who are interested in a technical degree, specifically focusing on machine learning and predictive analytics. The ISE degree is mostly focused on, if you have an undergraduate degree in industrial system engineering and you want to learn and expand a little bit more in depth, and then particularly in the supply chain area, that's the degree. And the thing about our department, if you get admitted to one of the masters, it's relatively straightforward to move over to another one if you find the one that you went to was not the one that you really was your interest to once you learn more about the other master's degree. So transferring within different master's programs is relatively pretty easy in our department. And we also have 50 PhD students. A number of our, I wouldn't say all, but I would say a good number of our PhD students come from our master's programs themselves. We also have a very active research centers. And the reason that's important is because although the research centers are really mostly directed towards the PhD students, we have a number of ways where master students can get involved in research activity. We have the MedTrans Transportation Center, the FT Institute, which is really an internal institute within the department, which funds students who aren't researchers, PhD research assistants, to undergraduates and master students to work on projects that are affiliated with faculty members. And the most common way for students to get involved in research is get to meet your faculty in the classroom. And once you develop a relationship with them, then the faculty member will contact the institute and say, here, I've got this research project. I want to work with the master students, and they'll write a proposal, and it would then get reviewed, and based on that review, we'll determine whether it gets funded. There's also, we were the first center after 9/11 to address the risk and economic analysis of terrorism. It was created after 9/11, and it's been funded continuously from the Department of Homeland Security along those lines. We also have faculty involved in manufacturing, 3D printing, and the Center for Advanced Manufacturing does that. We also have faculty involved in AI in society. So this is one of the centers we're really proud of. We're probably the leading institute in the world that's using AI to solve, I would say, messy societal problems like suicide prevention, homelessness. And so typically AI is used to solve engineering kind of well-defined problems. This is one problem where AI is being used to solve really messy political problems, and people involved with it are doing wonderful things in addressing some of this. We recently got a large gift from Meta Platforms to develop a center that does both research and education and AI learning, and then we have an Institute of Information Sciences. So we have faculty involved in all these centers and in leadership positions. So why, in particular, the engineering management is one of the questions: who should pursue the MS in Engineering Management program? What are the benefits? And I think really the most simple answer is, if you're interested, first of all, it's a training program for engineers to become managers. It's not like an MBA. The MBA is really a broader management degree, training everybody for a management position, not just engineers. And so in the MBA, it's a 60-unit degree. Ours is a 30-unit degree, and I'll talk a little bit more about that because we're going to 4 units, and we'll actually be 28 units once we go to 4 units. But right now we're at 30 units, so it's half the number of units. The reason it's half the number of units because we don't focus, because when you're managing, if you're training someone to be a manager of engineers, you're not going to really focusing on marketing functions, organizational behavior, HR kind of functions. Those are really left for the person who's in the MBA realm. And so the kind of courses that we will focus on is really course, and I'll show you what the course program is, but mostly the courses are in the training of the engineer to be a manager, the skill set you need for that. Some of that are soft skills, and some of that is more technical skills, and the program covers both. And I think the same, I think I answered the second question: what is the big difference between the MS and Engineering Management program versus, first of all, is the number of units. And the reason the number of units is because it's a much more focused degree than an MBA degree. So the engineering is intended, as I said, is intended for prepare engineers for careers in management. In fact, I can almost say this because I've seen it in my own career, my career of my wife, of my kids, and countless of students. When you graduate, you'll get an engineering job. A third of the engineers will go on to become managers. And the other 2/3 may even change the type of engineering job they have. They may not really have an engineering title anymore. They've just transition to a different type of position. For example, you could be a process engineer. Then you move and you become into the supply chain area. So the transition from one type of job to another is very common these days. And what they say now is that most people will end up with 3 different careers by the time they retire. It's intended, the degree actually has a nice blend of both working engineers and recent graduates with bachelor's degrees. The recent bachelor's degrees tend to increase their employability. I know a number who've come in straight from their undergraduate degree, got the engineering management degree, and were able to get a consulting position with one of the big 4 consulting firms. When I mean the big 4 are the KPMG, PwC, EY, and PwC. Okay. So clearly, working engineers also benefit from this degree because it will enhance their chances to be promoted to management because they're starting to work on their soft skills and also some of the technical skills that require you to be an effective manager. Of course, engineers who are currently managers also will benefit because they will develop the same skill set that will make them a more effective manager. In terms of the program size, we currently have between 150 to 200 students. That's the range. Right now we have over 200 students. And we graduate about 80 a year. And about 15% of the students are off campus, meaning they're taking it through a distance education program. And I believe Cami will talk a little bit about that when she talks the distinction between the in-person versus the off-campus person. From an instruction point of view, there's no difference. Both the off-campus and in-campus people meet at the same time. It's the same class, except the people in person are in the classroom and the people off campus are accessing the system through WebEx. And they take the tests at the same time, but at different, of course, the location is going to be different. And as I mentioned, the classes are taught by a combination of full-time professors and industry individuals. A really nice blend of being taught from people who are practicing it, who are currently engineering managers, and those who study the pedagogy of engineering management. And so you're learning from people who are experts in the pedagogy of engineering management, and you're also being taught by people who are who are really practicing and in the leadership position as being managers of engineers. And the graduates, we'll talk a little bit about the companies they join, but they're all over the place, domestic, international, both small, large, consulting, and so on. It's as broad as a degree. So what does the degree cover? So I'm going to describe the reason I can only show you the current program is because the new proposed program, which is we're going to 4 units. So currently our courses are 3 units. We're going to go to 4 units. The reason I can't show you that because it hasn't been approved. It's going to go through the approval process by the university, and once that's approved, we'll be able to start publicizing it. But the content is going to stay the same. It's just that it's going to go from 30 units to 20 units, which means basically one of your electives will not be required to take anymore. So what are the basic skill sets that we think an engineering manager should know? Clearly, project management. I mean, project management is one of the main criteria of an effective engineering manager. You got to know what the numbers mean, right? In the age of data, you have to know what the numbers mean. So you have to have some background in statistics. And then by definition, there is no project without teams. So you have to learn how to effectively manage teams. And so as you can see, these projects, so you'll be taught the pedagogy, but beyond the pedagogy, you'll have a chance to practice it because in all of these courses, there's going to be a project involved in where you can demonstrate how to manage teams, how you can do project management. And we have faculty who've written textbooks in this area who are instructors. Engineering economic analysis. Basically, you cannot justify a new project without understanding the economic impact of that project. Basically, any engineering manager is going to have to want to purchase something or add resources. They're going to have to justify it with some kind of economic analysis. And we have a course which basically teaches you that skill set. And then, so those are the 4 basic required courses. Moving on, there's some basic fundamentals. Again, since we're in the age of data, beyond the basic course that we have, we also say you should take another course on a quantitative technique, because you've got to understand more in depth how data can be used to make decisions. And so we have a course on predictive analytics, a course on decision analysis, and also a course in optimization. And you just have to pick one of these as an elective. Then there's also a course on machine learning. The reason it says 3 to 4 units because the machine learning course right now is currently 4 units. And then technology is a big part. We're in the age of technology. So we have some specifically designed technology courses for the program. And again, you have to take one of these. There's a technology development implementation course. There's an invention course. And there's a strategic management courses. And each one of these is unique. So the strategic one is at the very high level. The 545 course is at the implementation level. And the 555 is really more about innovation. Okay, so those are your required courses. Then you pick a track. And for each track, you pick 3 courses. There's a management track, which focuses more on lean management, quality management. And some of these courses you see in the other places can also be used in the tracks, as you see in 585. And then the strategy and organization consulting course that's offered at the business. So that's if you're interested in more in the management courses than you are in some of the engineering courses. If you're interested in learning more about the analytics part, and that seems to be more and more popular these days because students want to enter the marketplace with backgrounds in being able to do predictive analytics and machine learning. So again, you could take more of these courses to deepen your knowledge in it. And again, you have to pick 3 courses of this, and that will count to the analytics track. Very common in our degree, these last 2, supply chain and operations is something a lot of students are really interested in. And here we have a course. So we partner with the business school. So the supply chain management course and the operation consulting courses are kind of case-based courses over at the business school. And so they're very popular with the students. And then we have some methodological courses, more kind of like the techniques courses. And we have an inventory systems course, which I've taught a number of times. And these courses are really much more, so the business school courses are much more case-based courses, whereas the engineering courses are much more methodological. They'll teach you the techniques that actually tell you how to do inventory management. And the next one, 514, is the production scheduling. And then the 583 course is a very popular course, and students find it to be very marketable. It's an SAP course. So we have a college level, master's level course, and people pick up that certificate also, which really helps them and makes it more marketable, is the ERP course using SAP. We have excellent faculty who are very knowledgeable in this area that can get you, if that's what you're interested in, get you ready to excel in that area. We also have students who are interested in more in terms of the innovation and technology commercialization track. And that's basically taken to develop more courses in the technology development, innovation, strategic management of technology, and some technology commercialization. So the question is, well, if I get engineering management, can I do a dual degree with some other major? And the answer is yes. So we have a number of dual degrees with other engineering disciplines. One's in aerospace, mechanical, electrical, and petroleum. So in this case, you get admitted to both. You have to apply to both places. You have to apply both to the aerospace department, let's say, and to the Department of Aerospace, Mechanical Engineering, and our department. And so once you get admitted to both, you're eligible for the dual degree option. And again, those degrees are offered on DEN and on campus. So our students, where do they go? They go everywhere. In fact, I spoke to a student yesterday who's just got an offer from SpaceX. Our students get jobs at that, as I mentioned, the big 4 consulting firms, EY, KPMG, PwC, and NBC, Microsoft, Boeing, even some food companies, General Mills, Mattel, UPS, Meta, Uber, Nike, Disney, Amazon's a big employer of our students. So I know I've been fast. I've done I've done a kind of a speed presentation of our degree, but I'll be more than happy to stay on and answer any questions anybody may have.
Thank you so much, Professor. Go ahead and put your questions in the chat. I know that the first question here, which I believe you already answered, Professor, was are the engineering management students allowed to take courses from Marshall? It looked like there were a few that were a part of the electives already, but I don't know if you needed to expand on that one.
Sure. So we have arrangements. So we have courses that their students, like the 583 course. So they have master's. So we let their students take our courses. So you'll be, so in the 583 class, if you decide to take that, you'll have a lot of students from Marshall on there. So we allow their students to take our courses, and they allow some of their courses, especially if it's listed in ours, for our students to enroll in.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sahiti is asking about applying for application fee waivers. We can kind of let you know the process for that. We have very limited numbers of application fee waivers available. So there is a process. So we can certainly send you that information about how to be considered for fee waivers. But for right now, we have Professor Dasuki for another probably 8 minutes. So if you have any other questions for him as it relates to the engineering management program or the Industrial Systems Engineering Department, please go ahead and put them. Okay. Nandita is asking, how can engineering management be suitable for someone who is interested to go into the automobile field?
I think it's, so the automobile field, are you talking more, I'm assuming more basically in the operations part of the automotive field? So I think it's very common to see people. So I will take this a little bit more broader and say in the manufacturing sector, it's quite common to see people who get a master's in engineering management field in that field, because there's a lot of engineers. So especially in terms of the manufacturing sector, they hire both process engineers, they hire manufacturing engineers, design engineers, supply chain planners. So there's a lot of engineers in that field, and a lot of them aspire for management positions. And that's why they will come and get an engineering management degree, because especially the one, let's say for example, I'll give you just kind of an example pathway to get into that, is that let's say you'll get a master's in engineering management degree and you do a specialization in either the analytics or specialization in the supply chain operations. That's going to be very attractive to an automotive company, especially ones, because now not only can you do supply chain and operations for them because you've taken a number of courses in that area, they know that you have the potential. I'm assuming you're a fresh, if you're a fresh grad, you also know that you have the potential to become a manager because you've taken these also management courses. So you cover both bases.
Great, thank you. Okay, there's 2 more questions. What courses are aligned for a product management career? I don't know if we need more elaboration on that question.
So I would say if you're interested in that, I would certainly look into the technology track. A number of those courses, especially they're being redesigned, especially for product managers. I mean, so I would say, I didn't spend enough time talking about this, and I'm involved in a number of organizations that, so we're part of this Masters of Engineering Management Coalition. And when I go to those meetings and we talk about the #1 job that students go to, product management's another big area that our students go into. And in particularly, we have a track specialized for that, and that is the technology track. A lot of those courses are specifically specialized to train someone to be a product manager.
Great, thank you. Okay, Nitya, I'll go ahead and I'll answer your question separately. I have just a few points to cover in a few moments. But if anybody has probably a last call here for any questions for Professor Dasuki before he needs to log off. Okay. Okay, did you have any closing words of wisdom before we let you go, Professor?
I would simply say, if you're interested, apply early. And there's, there's definitely scholarship opportunities if you apply early, and the key is to get the application early, and you'll get the decision sooner. I mean, so we admit based on a rolling kind of a admission process. So the sooner you apply, the sooner you'll find out.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time today.